They told him to leave his friend behind. The rules demanded it. The mission was complete, the extraction route closing, and enemy trackers were closing in from every direction. But instead of abandoning him, he made a choice that would change everything. The storm began 2 hours before dawn. Not a storm of wind or rain, but a storm of static. In the cramped forward operations tent, dim light flickered across maps, satellite images, and holographic overlays. Generators rumbled outside. Radios hissed. Boots tracked mud across the metal floor as 4 reconnaissance operators gathered around a single folding table. Captain Ethan Ward stood at the head of the group, his expression sharp beneath his helmet. At 39, he was steady, disciplined, and respected across multiple theaters of conflict. The scars on his knuckles told older stories, ones he rarely shared. Across from him, hands folded behind his back, was Staff Sergeant Noah Blake. 26. Leaner build, sharper energy. Known for humor under stress and terrifying accuracy with a suppressed rifle. Beside him stood Mason Hale, the muscle of the unit, broad-shouldered, quiet, and the kind of man who could carry 2 people up a mountain even if one was screaming. And at the end, triple-checking comms gear, was Caleb Brooks, the radio man. Younger than the rest, 23, but fast-thinking, loyal, and always humming under his breath when nervous. Their commander, Colonel Rivers, pointed at the holographic map floating above the table. We've confirmed enemy motorized divisions moving south across the river valley, Rivers said. If they reach Sector Delta 13, our forward infantry positions will shatter in less than 24 hours. We need time to reposition armored brigades and air support. Without it, we'll watch the line collapse. Ethan nodded. And the dam. Rivers zoomed in, revealing a massive structure spanning a steep concrete gorge, high walls, floodlights, guard towers, and mist pooling off the churning river below. The dam is their only logistics artery. Roads feed into it from both sides. Blow it, and they'll be cut off. You'll buy the army 3 days minimum. And the lake? Mason asked. Rivers exhaled. The valley downstream is already evacuated. Ethan looked at each man. Insertion point. Here, Rivers said, shifting the map to a thick forest southeast of the objective. Night drop from 5,000 feet, low drift. Steep terrain, 20 kilometers to target. No support, no drones. Airspace too contested. Caleb leaned forward. Extraction? Rivers hesitated, then spoke the words every special operator learned to fear. Evac point is here. A marker blinked on the map, 8 kilometers west of the dam. You have 48 hours. Hard cutoff. And if we aren't there? Noah asked. Then you aren't there. Silence. Ethan nodded. Slowly. Understood. Team Ward accepts. One by one, his men echoed. Accept. 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 They had done harder missions. They had walked further into the dark. But something about this one felt different. The static outside growled louder. The storm was coming. And it wasn't weather. The aircraft roared through a black sky. No stars. No moon. Just darkness thick as oil. Inside, red lights pulsed along the metal walls. 4 operators stood ready, helmets sealed, visors down, chutes prepped. Noah slapped Ethan's shoulder. One more walk in the woods, boss. Ethan smirked. Just another camping trip. Caleb didn't smile. Camping trips don't involve C4 and a dam the size of a skyscraper. Mason grinned. Depends on where you camp. The pilot's voice boomed through the cabin. 1 minute. The back door opened, wind hammering their chests, the world turning into endless swirling black. Ethan gave the signal. They leaped. The fall was silent. Weight vanished. The earth spun. For 30 seconds, they were nothing but shadows. Then parachutes snapped open, silent deployment, black fabric whispering above them. They drifted downward toward a dark ocean of pine. Below, somewhere past the trees, past the ravines, past the dead quiet, waited the dam. And beyond that dam, an army hungry to break the world. Dawn bled slowly across the horizon. The team moved through thick fog, rifles up, boots silent, every breath controlled. The terrain pitched steeply downhill, jagged rocks hidden beneath leaf litter. Caleb checked coordinates. We're 5 clicks from the supply tunnel, 200 meters north of the patrol route. Noah whispered, "When's their rotation?" 30 minutes. Plenty of time. Except it wasn't. From ahead came distant voices. Footsteps. Metal clinking. Ethan raised a fist. Halt. The team froze. 2 enemy soldiers appeared through the mist, scanning lazily, rifles slung, talking quietly. Ethan signaled. Mason moved left. Noah right. Caleb dropped low behind a fallen log. Ethan crept forward, silent as wind. At 10 meters, the guard stopped, switching direction. Ethan tensed. Then, a twig snapped beneath Noah's boot. One soldier spun, eyes wide. Ethan lunged, tackling one guard behind a tree, muffling the scream as he snapped the man's neck. Noah slashed the other's throat, catching the body before it fell. Both men slid silently to the ground. Caleb let out a shaky breath. "We good." "For now," Ethan said. "Hide the bodies." It wasn't the first time. It wouldn't be the last. War had no patience for hesitation. The supply tunnel entrance was hidden beneath a rusting steel hatch, half buried under roots. Ethan knelt. Caleb inserted a fiber camera, checked for traps, then nodded. Clear. Noah pulled the hatch. The tunnel yawned open like a throat, cold air rushing up from the black. "Lights low," Ethan ordered. They descended. Inside, the passage curved downward, lit by the faint flicker of emergency bulbs. Pipes lined the walls. The air smelled like damp concrete and iron. Noah ran gloved hands across the surface. "This place is older than half the buildings above it." They followed the map, navigating switchbacks and ladders, boots clanking softly. After 20 minutes, they reached a metal grate overlooking the dam's central control chamber. Below were 2 guards, both smoking, both bored. Ethan whispered, "No noise." Noah and Mason moved. 2 suppressed shots. Both bodies fell silently. Down the ladder, across the platform, through the access door. Caleb whispered, "C4 ready." Ethan positioned charges on structural nodes, each wired to chain detonate. Noah checked his watch. "We're good. When this dam blows, the enemy can't cross. We've bought our army breathing room." Ethan clicked the detonator into place. T-minus 5 hours. 5 hours to escape. 5 hours before the valley changed forever. He keyed his radio. "Objective complete." Command responded. "Copy. Proceed to evac." But the mission wasn't over. Not even close. They made it 2 kilometers from the dam before the sound came. A rifle crack, sharp, violent, close. Mason went down screaming, blood pouring from his thigh. Caleb froze. Noah dove behind a rock, scanning for muzzle flash. Ethan dragged Mason into cover, heart hammering. "Hold on." Mason's teeth clenched. "I'm hit. Femoral. I can't walk." Caleb ripped open a tourniquet, wrapping it high and tight. Blood still pulsed. Noah shouted, "Sniper." 200 meters. East slope. Another shot rang, sparks spraying from the rocks. Ethan leaned out, spotted the glint of a scope. 1 suppressed round, enemy sniper down. Silence returned, but the damage was done. Mason lay trembling, gray-faced, pain in every breath. He tried to stand, collapsed. "Leave me." Noah looked up. "You heard him." Ethan glared. "That's not happening." Noah pointed west. "Boss, listen to me. If we carry him, we all die. Evac window closes in 2 hours. They know something's wrong. Patrols everywhere." Mason snarled through clenched teeth. "He's right." Caleb's voice shook. "We can come back for you." Mason grabbed Ethan's vest. "No, you won't. You know the rules. Weight slows the team. Enemy closes in. You have to finish the mission." Noah stood. "We already did finish it. Our objective is to leave. And we can't with him." Ethan stared at his men, voice low and dangerous. "We don't leave our own." Noah shouted. "We do when we have to." Ethan rose. "And I say we don't." Noah stepped closer. "Mason will slow us down. He'll die, and so will you. And so will we. This is suicide. He knows it. I know it. You know it." Mason whispered. "Ethan, let me go." Ethan closed his eyes and saw too many ghosts. Too many he had left behind. When he opened them again, they burned. "No," he said. Noah exhaled sharply. "All right. If that's your call, then I'm leaving." He pulled his pack on, stepped back. Caleb looked between them, shattered. "If you leave, then I leave too." Noah nodded. "Good. That gives him a chance." They left. Just like that. Two brothers in arms walking into the trees, disappearing into fog without a backward glance. Ethan watched them until the forest swallowed them. Then he turned back to Mason. "We're getting out of here," he said. Mason laughed weakly. "You're insane." Ethan adjusted the straps on his pack, then lifted Mason across his shoulders in a fireman carry. "If I'm insane," Ethan grunted, "at least I'm consistent." With Mason's weight crushing down on him, every step a war, Ethan started walking west, toward the evac point, toward enemy lines tightening like a noose, toward a future that had no promise. The forest was alive with danger. Enemy patrols swept the woods, flashlights slicing beams through fog, radios crackling orders, dogs barking through the night. Ethan moved low and slow, every breath timed to footsteps, heart pounding so loudly he thought it might give them away. Mason whispered, "Put me down." "No. You're dying." "So are you." Minutes stretched into hours. Ethan's legs burned. His lungs felt sharp and raw. Sweat dripped from his jaw onto Mason's vest. Behind them, voices faded, then grew louder again. They were tracking blood. When Ethan reached the riverbed, moonlight glimmered on stones slick with ice. His strength was gone. His vision blurred. But he kept walking. Mason stirred weakly. "You should have left with them." Ethan stopped. "I did." Mason frowned. "What?" Ethan looked up at the sky, stars flickering like distant flares. "I left with the only teammate who mattered." Mason's breath hitched. Then, footsteps. Dozens. Close. Enemy voices echoed in the dark. Ethan dragged Mason down into the freezing water, breath locking in his throat as current clawed at his boots. He moved upriver, silent. Patrols passed behind them, flashlights sweeping inches away. One soldier paused, gazed into the dark, then turned away. The river carried their scent downstream instead of up. They lived. The ridge to the evac zone was nearly vertical. Ethan's legs shook uncontrollably as he climbed. Mason strapped to his back like an anchor. "Halfway up," Mason whispered. "You can't make it." Ethan said nothing, just climbed, breathing through clenched teeth, eyes burning with exhaustion. Hours later, he reached the ridge crest. He collapsed, body shaking, chest on fire. Mason's hand found his. "Why?" Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. "Because rules don't bury us. Regret does." Mason closed his eyes. The evac zone was a burned-out village, rooftops shattered, walls blackened. Ethan crawled the final 50 meters, dragging Mason behind cover. Two figures rushed forward, medics, grabbing Mason, checking his pulse, cutting through fabric. Ethan reached for his radio. "Command. Ward team reporting. 1 casualty. Myself, stable. Others, unknown. Copy Ward. Evac inbound." Noah and Caleb had made it. Barely. When they saw Ethan emerge from the shadows, dragging Mason alive, their faces broke open with disbelief. Caleb whispered, "He did it." Noah stepped forward, eyes locked on Mason, then on Ethan. "You're out of your damn mind," he said. Ethan smiled faintly. "I've heard worse." A helicopter thundered overhead, kicking up dust, blinding the world in roaring wind. They loaded Mason, then Ethan, then the others. As the bird lifted into the sky, Ethan looked out across the burning forest below. The dam exploded in the distance, a thunderous roar rolling across the valley. The enemy advance stopped. The floodwaters carried chaos. The army had time, and 4 recon soldiers, who should have been numbers, became names. Weeks later, Ethan stood in dress uniform before the command tent. Mason, alive, leg wrapped, on crutches beside him. Noah and Caleb stood behind, silent, unsure. General Hartford approached. "Captain Ethan Ward," he said, voice echoing. "For extraordinary valor against overwhelming odds, for refusing to abandon a wounded soldier under threat of capture and death, and for saving the lives of every member of your team, you are awarded the Silver Star." Applause rippled through the crowd. Hartford leaned closer. "You broke protocol," he whispered. Ethan nodded. "Yes, sir." Hartford smiled. "Protocol can be rewritten. Valor cannot." Mason turned to Ethan. "You could have left me." Ethan shook his head. "I couldn't live with myself." Noah stepped forward. "I was wrong." Ethan looked at him. "We all were." Caleb swallowed. "And now?" Ethan smiled at Mason. "At least now we get to live." He paused, eyes drifting to the horizon, where smoke still rose from the shattered dam. Then he murmured, "Sometimes rules keep order. Sometimes they save lives. But sometimes a rule becomes a choice. And when that choice is life or death, I'll take life every time." If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Epic Recon Stories. Here we tell the missions that never made the headlines, the decisions made in silence, and the people who carried them. More stories are coming soon.